Hello, hi everybody. Welcome to season 7, episode 5 of Detour Essentials live. We have to count, right? Because we cannot believe that it's season 7 already. And we're already at episode 5. I can't believe we're 5 episodes deep. Welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you are joining us for the first time, we are ready to emerge. And this is Detour Essentials live. We're here every Wednesday when we're in season at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I am Kathy Goodall. I am a part of the Emerge Trio. I am a connector of businesses, brands, and people, and I'm a marketing strategist and a coach, a leadership and growth coach. Ladies, hi.
Is that me? Hi,
Hi. Yes, I forgot. I need to.
You have to give us the.
Yes.
Or you have to go like this way and then like go there. So.
So
Okay, hi guys. So I am Naomi Garrick. I am also a proud member of the Emerge Trio. I'm also the CEO and founder of Garrick Communications, which is a boutique PR agency here in Kingston, Jamaica. But I'm also a personal branding coach, and essentially I help people and companies to build more purposeful and profitable brands.
over to you, Rush.
Well, is it my screen that froze a while ago? Am I frozen?
We can see you.
I don't know.
I'm just
This is your signal.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that. Hey! My name is Rochelle Cameron. I am CEO of Prescient Consulting Services Limited and a proud member of the Emerge Trio. I am, most days, I am a speaker, some days, and I get to work with an amazing team to help companies of various sizes with leadership, business development, HR strategies. So I'm getting to live the best version of myself.
Woohoo! So if you're joining us for the first time, please let us know where you're joining us from. We also want to take the time to say thank you very much to our partners, Sagicor, who have been with us from last year.
Yeah.
We have some exciting things coming up at the end of this year that we've partnered with Sagicor for, and I'm going to let Naomi tell you a little bit more about that.
So if you guys are joining us for the first time, this will be the first time you're hearing about it. But if you've been with us, then you know this thing is happening. So before Ready to Emerge Detour Essentials Live, we used to have our Ready to Emerge summits. The first one was actually in 2019, March, second in July 2019. And then we had a hybrid summit in January of 2020, right before the pandemic. And that was our last in-person event. So we are beyond excited to let you all know that we are having our Ready to Emerge Summit, the first in-person, well, it'll actually be a hybrid as well, but in-person event on September 18th, and it's Emerging Without Limits. This is actually going to be at the AC Marriott Hotel, which is where we had our second summit in 2019. We're really, really excited to, one, be in the room with all of you once again, but also we have an amazing lineup of speakers that are going to be just sharing their life journeys, their pivots, their plot twists, and of course, talking about how they have emerged without limits, especially over the last 2 years. So please, if you're not already following us on Instagram and Facebook, please remember to follow us on both platforms. We'll be announcing details very shortly about how to register, ticket prices, corporate packages, and then of course announcing our speakers for our 2022 summit. So make sure you stick and stay so you can hear more about what's coming next in September. So September 8th
on TV, stick and stay.
We always have early bird tickets, so that's what you want to look out for, the early bird special.
That is nice. It feels exciting. It feels really
very excited. I mean, even when we are at the summits, we are always taking notes for ourselves from all the speakers because we learn so much from everyone that participates. Even right now, you'll see Catherine throughout tonight's show writing notes because we are also always learning and growing from our audience as well as from our speakers that we have on our different platforms. So we're excited to share, we're excited to listen, and we're excited to be a part of Ready to Emerge Summit.
Yay!
Naomi, are you allergic to us?
I don't know. I feel like every time I come on, no, I've been sneezing. Is that it?
No.
That's it?
No,
Like all of a sudden, like
she
I
probably
didn't,
hasn't seen us in a long time, and
I
that's
didn't have
why
the
she's
sniffles
having an
before
allergic
I came
reaction.
online, so I don't
No,
know,
but you
Rochelle.
always do good. And then as you see when you start to sneeze. I
Maybe it's
don't
a
like
something.
Hmm?
I don't know.
That's not true. I rebuke that, Rochelle.
I don't think I was sneezing last week.
You were.
Okay, fine. Maybe it's
Yeah,
because
you
I'm not
were
supposed to be up
sneezing. You
after
didn't take your
7, and I
sneeze.
think my body is just trying to tell me that I need to go to bed. So maybe my body is trying to signal that this is not my zone of genius at this hour of the night.
But you know, guys, so we're in July now. This is the first week of July. July started on Saturday, Friday
Friday.
of last week. So July 1st marks the start of the next 6 months of the year. So we're at a half year. So, some of us are feeling a bit of the fatigue and you just feel tired, like every part of you tired. And it's because we're mid-year. So a lot of deliverables, if you are, whether or not you work for yourself or work for other people, it's just that time that there are lots of deliverables. So be gentle with yourself as 6 whole months gone through the year. So you're tired and it's okay to take a break, take a rest, listen to your body. Is the
Mhm.
one body we have, so we have to take care of it and we have to take care of it out. But tonight we are going to hear from a very special lady. So I want you guys to all think about distinctive voices that there's some voices that are just transcend generations, and wherever you hear them, you think of certain products, you think of certain programs, but the voices are just so distinctive. Now, give me your distinctive voice that when you hear it, you just, yeah. Naomi, I knew your name, so? Yeah.
My name is Naomi, not Naomi
You.
or Naomi.
Doreen Samuels.
Tell me a distinctive voice that just always just brings you back to a place.
Well, Catherine said Doreen Samuels. I'm trying to think whose voice, when you hear it, you just like Faye Ellington. They're just like, especially in Jamaica,
Michael
we have,
Anthony Cough.
yeah,
Yeah.
man. There's just some voices when you hear it, you're just like, oh, I know that voice. Richard
No,
Eve.
Oprah, like you don't have to, you could be like 3 rooms away. If Oprah was in the same building with you and you heard the voice, you'd be running.
Michelle Obama.
Yes. Letitia said Paula and Porter. Oh my
Yes,
gosh.
Paula and
Yes.
Porter for sure.
Absolutely distinctive.
Viola Davis. They're
Mhm.
very just this. What's his name? Morgan Freeman.
Yes. These
The
voices.
guy that's on the Allstate ads. What's his name again?
I know exactly who you're talking
Francois.
about.
Yeah.
Francois Saint-Just. His voice, you can't mistake it.
Very
Mhm.
distinctive. And tonight we actually have a lady who is a voice of our generation. An amazing voice, and your voice is a gift, whatever the sound of your voice, but this voice is a voice that calms crowds, that brings excitement, that brings joy. And every time she holds a mic and she gets on that stage, firstly, she's absolutely beautiful. And beauty is, it comes from within. So there's an aura of this woman that we will get to sit with tonight, Miss Stacy-Ann Smith. Her aura, her energy, her vibes, all wrapped up. And then you hear the voice.
Mm-hmm.
Voice you cannot forget. She is author, she's media practitioner, she is CEO of DanRak Productions. She is also a corporate expert in public relations, in marketing strategies. She has graced so many stages, and many of us know her from It's a Woman's World. You know who we're talking about. Yeah. We love her, Deborah K. Miss Stacy-Ann Smith. Now, this newly minted author of Time Does Not Heal tonight will use her special voice and through her own storytelling and sharing with us, cause us to just wrap ourselves up in this person. You will leave here tonight thinking that she's your best friend, because the day that you meet her, even on screen, the way that she speaks and draws you in, you will never forget Stacy-Ann Smith. So pot cover.
Woo!
Wait, don't bother with the balling, you know, because I set up a while ago.
Miss Rochelle, after an intro like that, I'm loving myself a little bit more right now, I must tell you. Thank you so much.
Hi, Stace.
Hello, Kathy, my darling, my darling. How are you?
Guys, you see how Stacy's outfit just brings in all of our colors? It wasn't planned.
It is divine. It is divine,
It's
man.
Right, exactly. I agree 100%. So, you know how Rochelle was talking about the voice, and we said it like literally when we were backstage and Stacy opened her mouth. It's just, you just feel like it's like a feeling of expectation.
Yep.
Mm.
That's what it's like. It's, as you said, it's very calm, it's soothing, but it's like, I want you to talk some more. So we're going to ask a lot of questions, Stacy, so you can just talk some more, just so that we can hear that voice.
This
right?
is why I'm here.
Exactly. Ooh, this is why I'm here. Okay.
You know, when you were
Stacey-
talking about those great voices before, and you
Yes.
left out James Earl Jones.
Oh,
I
yes.
know,
Just
right?
Yes.
feels like a
Mufasa.
blanket that just, you know,
Wraps you up.
comforts me.
Hello. He is the voice of God after all.
Right. Right.
Wow.
You know, someone dropped in the chat as well, Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, for
Yes.
sure. I mean, there's some really distinct voices out there. But we're here to talk about your voice tonight,
Mhm.
Stacey. So we're very excited to have you. And you know, as Rochelle shared some information about you, just so our audience can, in case they thought they knew, they don't really know, and we're gonna hear a lot more tonight. But we realize that you just continue to emerge and flourish in so many different areas. And we always like to start our Ready to Emerge Detour Essentials conversations with learning a little bit about your journey. Like, how did you get here to where you are right now?
Well, I started as a little girl from Marvally. A lot
Okay.
of people don't know. I tell people I am a ghetto girl. I am an example of the fact that no matter where you're coming from, you can be and do absolutely anything that you want to be. And there are stereotypes and there are barriers, but if you are determined enough and if you trust the process and put in the work, then there's absolutely nothing you cannot do. I give thanks. I live in gratitude. I give God thanks for everything. I mean, you talk about my voice, but I tell people all the time, to God be the glory. You know, He saw it fit to give me this instrument, and it's part of my purpose. And I am so grateful to God that He has chosen to give me this gift, and I don't take it lightly. I use it to His glory, and I use it to help other people. I recall one of the reasons I often share about going into media. And for me, it was about finding a place that I could help people, give people information that would help them to make meaningful decisions about their lives. So yes, entertainment is important, but when you start off in a media house, a newsroom, as I did in communications, it really often comes back to how do you help people to navigate the world? How do you help people to figure out what is going on in the universe, especially in the 21st century when you are bombarded by so much? You know, how do you sift through? How do you find what is real? I was talking with a friend of mine this afternoon, and we were saying it's so hard and increasingly so to decipher what is real in this new dispensation. Sometimes, I mean, beyond fake news, sometimes when you see what's happening on social media, you look at what's happening in your community, it's very hard for you to know what is real and know what is good and what is true. And it's so important for us to have those people, those sources, those voices that will be like that lighthouse. So you know when you need to get information, when you need to know what is going on in the world, there are sources that you can trust.
Yes, absolutely. You know, as you're talking, so we are big readers on this program, and we're always recommending books or audibles. I'm currently listening to a Napoleon Hill book called Outwitting the Devil.
Mm.
If anybody's heard of that one, very, very interesting perspective. The book was actually written in 1938, and
I read it.
it was
And
not
the Audible is also great.
but it's the Audible everything too, and it wasn't released until the 1990s because it was so controversial, and his wife begged him not to release it in the 1930s. But it's still so relevant today. But one of the things why I mention it is one of the things they say in the book is that we are all here to help others.
Mm.
That's
Without doubt.
our purpose in life, is to use the talents that we have, whatever it is, to help someone else.
Yeah, it is all about service. That is what it comes down to. And you find those people who are living the most fulfilling lives are those who are devoted to service, who even through their own, whether it's businesses or creative pursuits, are serving others. I mean, there is nothing quite like when you do something for somebody, especially when it is somebody that's really in need, it gives you that amazing feeling to know that you can have an impact, a real impact on other people. So for sure, when you mentioned that the title Outwitting the Devil, it reminded me of the fact that the key to doing that is really knowing who you are, It's
Well,
knowing.
that's what the whole thing is about.
Yeah.
It literally, that's what it's saying, that he can't outwit people that have a mind of their own,
Yeah.
that can think for themselves, right? So he calls the other people drifters, and that's who he's able to control, because they don't think for themselves, so they're easily swayed and they'll do all the things or not do anything at all.
Yeah.
But people who are free thinkers, he can't outwit them.
Yeah, man. Once you know who you are and you are in pursuit of that purpose, because every one of us was placed here with a purpose. There is something that we are here to do. There's a job you are here to execute, and if you pursue that purpose, if you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing, then you find greater fulfillment and the greatest fulfillment in knowing what you're supposed to be doing rather than just drifting. And you made a point, Naomi, about those people who do nothing. Mm-hmm. That's also something that is just a terrible, terrible waste, not using your gifts, talents, and abilities, and just, in many instances, waiting for something to happen.
And that's a choice that we make,
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, people don't realize that doing nothing is still a choice.
Yeah.
100%. So since we're talking about that, as much as many of us are aware of our purpose, or we're still in pursuit of our purpose, the last 2 years could have really set a lot of people back to become drifters or to not do anything. But we see that from what Rochelle shared, that even during that time, you were still able to emerge doing different things. What were the last 2 years like for you as a corporate executive, but also doing your own projects and own activities? What was that like for you over the last 2 years?
Naomi, when 2020 started, we had lots of lofty plans and ideas. And as you know, we all dropped both on our face because this thing came and said, okay, have a seat right over there. Okay.
Catherine, we were at Oprah, right?
Yeah.
2020 vision. That was the theme.
2020 vision. And for me, like many people, I took a while. I took a few months to really sit and to start to process what was really happening. And although it was a period of great change and transition and adjustment, I think for many people, and myself included, we started to look at the world in a different way. I, for one, started to look at myself in a different way. I actually was already on a journey to transform the way I saw myself and to think and to be and to do. And once COVID hit, it kind of struck you. We're not around here forever. We won't be here forever. In the blink of an eye, something can cause your whole world to turn upside down and to bring everything to a halt. So, girl, if you're gonna do something, you want to do something, best to get up and get to it. And so for me, that was one of the driving philosophies for me at the time, to know that I knew before, but it was driven home to me in a more profound way. We're not going to be here forever. So if you need to do something, something is on your bucket list, there's a message that you have to deliver, something that you want to do, get up and start doing it. So I started to work on actually two books. The first one that I published was Time Does Not Heal, and I was able to launch that last year, and it was something as a message that was on my heart, because I had, like most humans, have gone through trauma of one sort or another, and it's about helping others. It's about how you share those stories, those experiences, in the hope that it will help other people to make meaningful decisions about their lives, and to make sure that while you go on your journey, because we're all learning, we're all works in progress, while you're on your journey, you look behind and say, okay, this is what I learned. I'm going to make sure that I share that, I pass that on, so that, the young people in your circle, the young people in my church, my daughter, her circle of friends, they benefit from the experiences that we have. And, being brave enough to open up and to share sometimes deeply personal things, and it's not about shaming anyone, and it's not about, as my grandmother would have said, putting your dirty laundry out there, but it's
Mhm.
about how you empower others, how you lift up others with your experience. My father always said the greatest thing is to know. And in many instances, the decisions we make about our lives usually are based on the information that we have at the time. Most people are just doing the best that they can, with the information that you have. And the more you know, hopefully you'll make better decisions, the more exposure you have. And in matters that concern trauma, for a lot of people, it does help. For me, certainly, to know that you're not alone. You're not the only person, who has gone through this. And there's no need for you to feel ashamed. There's no need for you to feel like a failure, because this is part of the human condition. This is something that people go through. And if Naomi could get over it, if Rochelle, if Kathy could get over it, then I can too.
That is 100%. So Catherine and Rochelle would know that I'm not. I mean, I was never a public speaker. Stacey, I'm in PR. We are behind the scenes. That's what we do. And it was an experience that actually led me to start speaking and sharing more. When I spoke at Catherine and I spoke at We Inspire Women, and it was the first time I actually shared just my personal story. And as nerve-wracking as it was the young ladies that after the event that wanted to speak, because this was their story. They had a similar experience. And as he said, if Naomi can go through this, I can too. So that relatability and that common ground with someone else. And as you had mentioned earlier, I remember when I did Scotiabank Vision Achievers, one of the key learnings for me from the coach was when she said that you just don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You just don't
You
know
know,
what you don't know.
See, like, I remember the first time I saw you like up close, and I was like a fun girl. I was like, oh my God, it's Stacy-Ann Smith, and I was like, hi,
Yes, she
hi.
was. It's true.
And but when people see you and you are put together, you show up, you are presenting yourself, and they see today, they don't see a journey. I interviewed a young lady the other day, absolutely brilliant, and in the middle of the interview, she breaks down and she's like, I can't go further with this. And I said, why? And she's like, because I'm from the ghetto. And I said, so I'm waiting. And she said, but I am from the ghetto and I'm not going to be able to assimilate in this school type of environment that we were pushing her to go into. And it just has rested on my mind how many people, no matter how the opportunities pull you out of a space,
Mhm.
we are still
Yeah.
shrouded by that space. But you say, I'm from Marvely, I'm a ghetto girl. Tell us about the ghetto girl that is now someone that her voice is a voice we trust, a voice that when we hear a voice, we believe what she is saying. Because many people are watching and they were just stuck at I'm a ghetto girl and they're like, which part are you? Yes, yeah, oh, like.
Well, I was born and raised at 22 Field Road in Marvally. And at a time when we didn't want to tell people that we came from Marvally. I went to Dunrobin Primary School, went to Immaculate, and we didn't want people to know that you lived in Marvally. I would tell people I live off Mullines Road. You know, when I went to Immaculate, people.
Yeah.
I never told anyone. There was a very small circle of friends. I mean, people who I'm still friends with now who knew that I lived in Marvally, but you didn't want to tell people that you were from a community where violence would just erupt. You didn't want to tell people that you came from a community where it didn't look as fashionable as other quote
Mm-hmm.
unquote residential areas. And people judge you based on where you're from. People judge you by how you look, people judge you by how you speak. And I have to really give thanks for the family, the unit I came from, which is by no means perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but we got an opportunity to appreciate the fact that we were different. So when I was growing up, I grew up in a family home. My grandmother never allowed us to go out on the road. You had all of the people in the community sitting on
Mm-hmm.
the sidewalk. Mama would say, "What are you going out there to do? What is out there?"
What is
I
out
remember,
there?
what is out there? we had a bicycle. We got one bicycle. I remember. I'm trying to remember what year that was. I could have been about 9, which means my brother was 8 and my sister was 6. And then my younger sister was about 3, so she wasn't riding the bicycle, but we had one bicycle to share. And we had one little area in the front of the yard, and we learned to ride. We were riding in a circle in that one little circle in the front of the yard because we can't go outside. There's no going on the road to ride. We had to just stay there. And so we were very sheltered. It was almost cocooned in the way how we were raised. So
Mm-hmm.
we never got into any mix up. We also got labeled as being better. You know what I'm saying? Think they're better
Mm-hmm.
than other people because we were never outside. I mean, to
Yeah.
this day, there are people who are from Marvally who I don't know them. I don't know them because we never interacted. There are some people who like lived on our street, and you would know them. And my mother is a teacher, still teaches in Marvally today. Um, and people will know. Everybody knows mommy, Miss Peggy. I tell people I'm also Miss Peggy's big daughter. And
Everybody know you, Miss Peggy Big Data.
so people know Miss Peggy, and they will know me, but I don't know a lot of people because
Right.
we ended up. So my brother would know lots of people. Okay, you know how it goes with the boy picnic. They
The
will
boys
allow
are
him
out.
out, but only after a certain age. Because up to early teens, he wasn't out. After a while, he would be out. Go play ball and that kind of thing. But we never went outside, so we were not very exposed to a lot of things, which on the back end may not be so great because then you really do need to have a rounded appreciation of the world. You need the street smarts in order to survive, really survive and to thrive
Yeah.
in your environment. And we didn't get that. But what I do know is that from an early age, I was always fascinated with language, with
Mm-hmm.
words. I was reading about lots of far-flung places and getting really captivated by those stories. And people like my mother, my father encouraged us to read and to explore. And I mean, we didn't have any money to travel, so this was how we saw the world. And this is a pre-social media era. So
Yeah.
this was how we knew the world. This was how we understood our place in the universe. So for me, it was a voracious appetite for reading, and I'm a nerd. I loved school. My children say, "Mom, you are absolutely the strangest person on the planet," because I loved school. I enjoyed going to school.
Sure.
Yeah.
I enjoyed, my time at primary school, apart from being teased because I was bullied. I was always, a bigger girl, and you know how small children can be. So, apart from that, being teased and that kind of thing, but I loved learning. At one point I toyed with the idea of going into being perhaps a professor or into academics to
Mm-hmm.
teaching, because I so love the teaching and learning environment.
And you can still do that.
You know,
Absolutely.
there was a point when I was doing I was teaching
Ajahn.
courses as a part-time lecturer at Carimac. I'm a
Mhm.
proud Carimac graduate. But I don't know if it's for me. It takes a lot of work, and
A
Yes,
lot of work.
a lot.
It's almost like you want to just present, but you don't want to like do
No
smart
paper
things.
grading, none of that.
Yeah.
the
Curriculum
grading,
building.
Like,
it was
can I
the
just come in
grading
and
that
talk?
it was the
Guest
grading that
lecturer.
broke my
Guest
heart, you know.
lecturer.
It was the grading that broke my heart. So you
Yeah.
pour a
Yeah.
lot into the process.
Yeah.
And then you have a group of young people who, many of them don't care.
No.
And they don't have the right work ethic, and your marking scheme is out of 20, and people get 5 out of 20. I may cry, I say, but I'm a failure here.
And you crying for them. Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
cry,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay.
Did you come to one of her classes?
Yeah. I did adjunct lecturing at UCC for a little while, and yeah, the grading part
Yeah, it's pretty rough. It's
very disheartening at
it's very
times.
humbling.
But
But
you
every
can
now
still
and again, I book up a former student. I interacted with a former student recently who's a brand manager at a car company.
That.
Nice.
He said, you were my favorite lecturer. And I'm like, oh my God. That was so frightening. It really is good to know that you've had an impact. But
Impact, absolutely.
it's-
Again, it goes back to that, helping others.
yeah. I did it at the time because it was really about giving back, because they're not paying you a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
really about just how you contribute to your community.
Yeah.
But I really love the teaching and learning environment. I absolutely loved my time at Immaculate, and went on afterwards to university. Now, I tell people this story all the time. I did not go to sixth form at Immaculate. I went up to fifth form. I wanted to go to sixth form, but my father said, can't afford it based on where we were at the time. And
Mhm.
so I had to go and look at work. And
Mhm.
I was working by the time I was 17 years old. I've been working since I was 17, and went back to school eventually. I did, at the time, they used to call them A levels. I'm sure you all will remember the A levels.
So is it called something else now? What is it called now?
Oh, I did.
I don't know.
I did
Yeah,
Cape.
yeah.
I didn't do
They
A
call-
levels.
You did what, Rochelle?
I did Cape. I didn't do A levels. I don't know what's that.
I did A-levels, but
Stace, you will realize that some things you just let slide. But you will realize that some things you just let slide. Okay?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Rochelle.
Like
What do you call-
Rochelle
what do
will
you
probably tell you she
call
did pep. Okay?
Like next thing
She'll probably tell you she did pep.
I'm saying. So I did A levels. I did 2 A levels in 1 year while I worked. I was working at VM at the time, and I worked, sent myself to do A levels, and then went to UE. I enrolled. I decided I'd always wanted to be in media. I remember listening to the radio and asking my father how it worked, because I heard Alan Magnus and just absolutely fell in love with Alan. And I said, oh my God, I need to know how it works. And, my father explained to me in with my little 5-year-old mind how it worked. And, I was always listening, and I just absolutely loved being, thinking about, having that kind of impact. I mean, when you listen to RJR in the mornings, that was what woke you up. At different points, when they're playing a certain segment of the show, that's how I should be out the door. By then, really such a staple, and I really fell in love with media. And then by then I recognized, my voice is something that I could use. And then people always said it, you should be in media. And so I decided I would go to Carimac. And I wanted to do radio as my focus area. And to this day, I don't know how I ended up in television production. I ended up doing a specialization in TV. I avoided TV because I just thought I was fat and ugly. And so I would never want to be in TV. I share in my book, Time Does Not Heal, about that journey and about
Yeah.
growing up and really believing that I was fat and ugly. And so you would never get me to go anywhere near TV because, nobody
Yeah.
would want to look at me. And the truth is, when I grew up, you didn't see anybody that looked like me on TV. There was no representation. And so having never seen anyone that looked like me, living with all that baggage that something was wrong with you, you're less than, clearly you're not going to want to go to TV. But I knew I had a voice, and so I wanted to do radio. And I can only say it was divine because there was some kind of mix up. And when they posted the names of the persons who were accepted, because I don't know if you know, there was a point where you had to do an entrance exam to go to Karamak. They took
Really?
they took 44 people the year that I got in.
Yeah, Carmack is still extremely hard to get into. I know a lot of people that don't get into that. Even Debbie told us last week that she never got
Right,
into
right. That's true.
Carmack. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got in, and when I saw the list, it said I was in TV, and I said, no, there's a mistake here. I need to be in radio. And I tried to get them to correct it, and they said, no, it's already fully subscribed and you can't switch. And I'm like, what am I going to do now? And then eventually I just said, all right, I'm just going to make the best of it. And I remember, going through that and getting an internship as part of the program at TVJ. I was placed at TVJ for my internship in final year, and working with Michael Sharp, and he was the news editor at the time. And Michael said, I think you'd be good to present, because I was doing voice reports. Actually, even as an intern, they had given me reports to voice. Editing, and he said, no, you can do this. And the thing with Michael, and you can recall many people saying that, after he passed last year, that he was one of those who would always give young people a chance.
That's exactly what Debbie
Debbie
said.
said exactly that last week.
He would see something in you, and he would say, okay, you can do that. You may not have all of the experience in the world. You may not be as polished as you need to be now, but I'm going to give you a chance. And he did. And I remember him offering me a full-time job even before I was finished at Karamak. And then once I was done, I came back, and I was 3 months into the job. And he said to me, I think you need to present the midday news. We used to have midday news on TVJ. And I said, that's a no. And he said, yeah, man, you can do it. And then we had that back and forth for a few days. And then after the 7:00 news one night, because I was producing for him, he said, you're going to do the news tomorrow for midday. Please make sure you're ready. And he is not one to stand on ceremony most of the time, but the man pull rank upon me and say,
yes, ma'am.
And I'm giving you an instruction. You are to prepare yourself for the news tomorrow. And like I tell you, my belly bottom nearly drop out. I fret, so till I couldn't fret no more.
Wow.
I said, okay, first of all, what am I gonna wear? And what am I gonna say? And my God, people are gonna see me. And I don't think I slept very well the whole night.
I'm sure.
Went to work the next morning, and I said, I made a last attempt to discourage the madness. And he said, no, man, you'll be fine. And I got my makeup done, and I was shaking like a leaf, I tell you. And I sat down in that studio, and I did the midday news, and I got such great feedback. And I've always got great feedback. I've got very instructive feedback as well. I mean, people like, Faye Ellington, who has always been such a great mentor and trainer and friend. would call and give me, useful feedback. Feedback. I remember Motty Perkins would call and
Perfect.
give me feedback as well. I've just been so blessed with having people who have invested in me, who have said, Stace, this is what you can do, doing this well, but adjust that. And I've always been just open to that kind of feedback, because it's so important, because none of us is perfect, and we have a way of, some people getting to a point where you think, oh, you've arrived. At my very old age of 45, I am still learning every day, still
Every
learning,
day.
still growing, still appreciative
Changing.
of things. Yes, most definitely.
It would be so interesting for you to see that footage now. Like, I wish we were like Oprah and we could say, guess what? We have the
We
tape.
have a clip.
Roll the tape, Rochelle.
So I actually have, I don't have footage of that newscast, but I remember Archibald shared a clip. They used it in the PAJ Awards that they did a few years ago. I put up in 2018. They were going back into the archives, and, I'm like, oh my
That must be
God.
so amazing to see that now.
It is.
So
And
Tracy, people are going to speak of you in the same way you speak of those icons, because you are currently doing that investment. I know people are listening and they're just in awe of your story. And the thing that I wonder, by the way, you know that Michael Sharp is my cousin? He's my mother's first cousin.
oh, really?
And it's funny, with your family, sometimes you're like, Lord Michael can chat to you. And then when you hear the stories of how he has
He
impacted,
impacted.
and as you were speaking, I was just thinking, wow, that's the same way Stacey is impacting other people's lives, just even without her knowing. And I wonder, because when we get to certain levels and stages, we want, you have a bigger yard now. The two people them have been sure of them own a bicycle. So Daniel have been bicycle, Deborah Kay did have her bicycle. Them, they didn't have to share the way your brothers and sisters and you had to share, because you want a better life. How do you balance? See Deborah Kay there too. Deborah! How do you balance your journey and the power of the person that has been built through this journey with giving to your children now that you are in a position to give, but still keeping it real for them?
Well, they will tell you that I keep it very real, maybe a little too real, because I believe that there are some things that you have to learn. They're both. I was gonna say technically, but I won't say that. They're both adults. Deborah Kay turned 18 this year,
Wow.
and my son is going to be 21 in a couple of months. Yeah, so they are big people, and I've always told them that I have invested and continue to invest in their growth and development, but they have a responsibility. Daniel started an internship just this week, and he's at UA. He's going into his final year in September, and I've said to him, you have to get to the point where you own your story. I've always said, first of all, from them little, you have to learn how to help yourself. I remember Professor Agri Brown of blessed memory, always said, education, an educated human being is someone who can survive in his environment. And it means that it's not just it's just formal learning and in a classroom setting and what you're going to learn from the book. You must be able to survive. So if this is 2022 and you cannot drive, then you are not an educated adult. Unless something is physiologically wrong with you, you should be able to drive. You should be able to put a presentation together. You should be able to send emails. You should be able to do research. I was teaching my children to do research online when they were in grade 4, grade 5, so that they would know how to identify good sources. So they would come and they'd do their research and they'd say, okay, mom, look at this now. So I would then go through and do editing. So they were able to pull stuff together. They know how to navigate. I mean, they know how to challenge and ask questions, to my annoyance many times.
You need to read that book, right? Just because it's so fresh in my brain because I'm listening it into the car every day until it's finished. And that was one of the things that
Yeah.
in the book the devil says he uses is the parents, right? To get to the children by not allowing them to be free thinkers
Mhm.
because we're doing the work for them.
Yeah.
So then the cycle just continues, right? Instead of allowing them to research on their own, find the things,
Yeah.
and have the confidence knowing that they can do something on their own. That's,
Yeah, you're not doing your children a favor
Yeah.
if you have a 14, 15, 16-year-old that can't cook. What is that? Boy or girl?
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing them a favor if you do everything for them. I mean, you don't need to be a sous chef.
Right.
You need to be able to
You
survive.
can't exactly fend for yourself.
You need to be able to fend for yourself. So
Yeah.
basic things that we don't talk about and people don't necessarily celebrate, but
yeah.
you have to be able to survive in your environment.
Certainly.
Even something as simple as learning to iron your uniform.
Oh, but of course, after a certain point, I stopped ironing uniforms and I stopped doing several things because I've taught you how to do it and now you're gonna do it. And
Absolutely.
you won't be proficient if you don't practice. Because that's how we all learn how to do things. So that you're not a grown person and you
Like
can't
okay.
come
Kaya and the man on look.
Buffan
That is
is
right.
the word.
That is right. So, Stace, I heard you talk about how you felt growing up, that you felt like you were big and fat and ugly. And I mean, every single time I think of you, and Rochelle said it in the introduction, I think of how you walk into a space and you just command a presence, all eyes turn, and before they even hear you, because when they hear you is a different thing. But you are always, I don't think I've ever seen you when you're not well put together. In my opinion, I'm just like, every time I see Stacy, she just look regal. And the only other person I use that word to describe is Marcia Griffiths. Right? Yes. Every time I see you, you just command this presence. So when did that transition happen?
Going to be the volleyball show today. Did we say that, folks?
Oh, nice.
And say my eye water is very near, It's very near.
No, I feel like I have so many questions, but seriously, when was the transition, or what do you think helped that transition from the image that you had of yourself to the woman that you are now, that just walks into a room and everybody's like, whoa. Like,
For me,
honestly, look at this. I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
For me, it started with an acceptance that God loved me and I was made in his image and likeness. And you hear that, but for many people, it doesn't resonate. It doesn't really, as my pastor would say, feel it in your gizzard. When it gets down deep and you start to say, you unpack it. What does that mean? Being made in the image and likeness of God. And if there are other suggestions, if there are other messages that say otherwise, then that is ungodly. And then you begin to reject everything that says to you, you are less than. I share in Time Does Not Heal that I got lessons from a clothespin. My grandfather used to put a clothespin on my nose when I was a little girl, and it made me believe that my nose was big and ugly. And of course, if your nose is big and ugly and it is the most prominent thing on your face, then you can't be so cute. And then I went through, my teenage years just carrying that kind of baggage, and then, developing a relationship with Christ and really beginning to see and understand. So if God loves me and he's given me talent, he's poured so much into me and says that I am fearfully and wonderfully made, why would I choose to believe something else? Of course, it wasn't like a snap of the finger and it happened overnight, but over time, once you learn and you grow and you begin to really appreciate who you are, then you begin to change. And then once you know say a nice.
It,
And not only that, you know that there is purpose on your life, and you know that you have power. We have been given dominion, you know. You know what that means? You are in charge. So every room I walk into, I'm in charge. Every room I walk into, I am the boss. I don't care who for name outside, but I own the space. And it's about how you show up. It's about knowing and understanding who you are and really embracing just the only thing I can call it is the glory of God that is on your life, knowing who you
Amen.
are and appreciating where you are going. You cannot help but to walk confidently once you have grasped that and you feel it in your gizzard and you know, say you know.
And let the church say,
Amen.
Amen.
so,
Praise the Lord, sister.
Like we just like save this clip and replay this.
and absolutely, this needs to be the cut. I am just grateful to witness this. So inspirational. I usually rewatch, but I'm glad I am here live.
Oh,
That's you, Stace. So, like I said, there is just so much to talk about, right? So we talk. Tell us about your production company. How did a woman's world come about? I feel like I need to just ask all the questions and you just tell us everything at one
oh
time.
my darling. So I was in a pretty bad space for a long time. You know, when you are at war with yourself because you know the potential, you feel it, you know that there is more for you, and you accept less. And the turmoil that causes. And I know many people suffer through that. You know that there is more, but you continue to accept less, and that struggle that happens within you. And then I decided, having gone through a really rough patch personally in my relationship, in my marriage at the time, that I was going to reclaim my power. And I took a decision that, although I'm afraid, because ladies, you all know any kind of entrepreneurial pursuit requires courage.
Yes.
Because, can I tell you, there are so many things that are stacked against your doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to do it, you have to be brave. And I decided that I was going to do it afraid. So I'm afraid, afraid so till me can't afraid no more, but I'm gonna do it because I knew that I had stories that I wanted to tell. I love storytelling. It's the thing that gives me the most joy, reading stories and telling stories. And I knew that I wanted to do more. And I said, okay, I'm going to start. I registered DanRak and then did nothing for a couple of years because, once you start to do the due diligence and you say, blessed assurance that this may have to go do, right? Just know. And then because you're also trying to balance so many other things in your life, you're working full time, you have your corporate job because that's very important. And, that can be very demanding. And you have the children, and at the time, one doing GSAT, another one over here. So trying to get into some another phase in high school, and it's challenging to balance all of that. And then I decided it doesn't matter what is going to happen. I actually said to myself, if I die trying, I'm going to do it.
Yes.
And it required sleepless nights. I was up because, of course, you have to get your work done. You have to do what you have to do. And 2, 3 o'clock, I'm writing scripts, 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm writing scripts, and I, get 2 hours of sleep and then I'm up again, but you have to make up your mind that you're going to invest the time. You have to put in the time for the things that you want to do, because as I said, we don't have a lot of time around here. We really don't. And if you're going to do anything meaningful, it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. Life is going to kick you in your face sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just get up and you wash off your face, wipe it off, brush up your hair, and you continue moving.
Yes.
So that journey was tremendous for me. I really learned a lot, having been in media for a long time and being behind the scenes, even in front of the camera, but not working from the business side of media, which is a whole different beast. And
Yeah.
I was able to learn about things like, marketing your program, which, as you know, ain't easy to do.
Certainly.
And being able to get a show off the ground from just the idea to seeing it on TV. I cannot explain to you, how that made me feel, looking at my journey, seeing where I'm coming from a time when I really didn't even think I was capable of doing anything like that, and it
Yeah.
really, it made me feel good. It made me feel powerful. It made me feel like, you can do this, man, and gave me,
Great.
So watch me speak it up, so.
No, and the thing is, a woman's world, because I remember the first time I watched it, Stacey get so much message from me because I'm like messaging her while me I watch the repeat of the show, right? And it literally filled every single gap for a woman. Things that
yeah,
we just don't talk about.
yeah,
You sit and you talk to your girlfriends about maybe once in a while, or things that you're afraid to talk about. You guys are, everybody's just talking about it openly. And so it was great. It filled that gap for us.
yeah.
I
And Kathy, you hit the nail on the head. It's about talking about those things that people don't talk about, being very open, because that is how people are going to learn.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to know that, wait, this can happen to people.
Yes.
And that's how you inform yourself. And in many instances, we don't we don't always do the things that we could do because we don't know. We perish for lack of knowledge. And so if we are talking more openly and sharing and representing womanhood in a positive way. When I was growing up, you often hear that, women fight against each other. But I don't think that women fight against each other as much as, people claim. I think human beings can be jealous, and whether male or female, you can see somebody and be intimidated by them, or as Jamaicans say, just plain bad mind and decide that you're going to be, awful to somebody. But women often get a bad rap, and it's amazing to see the 3-0 and see how well you guys work together, and this partnership that is doing so much and bringing such great stories of inspiration to people. It's about that sharing and that telling of the stories, and being open, and recognizing that every one of us has something different that we bring to the table. I mean,
Yes.
when you look at my co-hosts, Karine and Ty, we're so different.
Yes.
And I mean, even you three, you're very different.
Yes.
But you bring your own selves. You bring the essence of who you are, and it works so brilliantly.
Oh,
Thank you,
you.
Stacey. Likewise.
Yeah.
The first time I saw the three of you together, I was like, "Oh, this are gonna know." Because so Karina and I went to prep school together, so we've known each other for forever. And most people, especially people that know her from Immaculate, to know her, Reverend Al's daughter. But me, I know the rough, rugged side of her. So I'm like, "Oh, this girl."
Yeah,
Stace.
and we know that people look on the three of us too sometimes, just like how this combination,
Yeah,
like how it works.
very
But
unlike
it
it.
works.
You think people think that, right? They think like, how does this come?
I think people are just not sure.
I think I'm like, how does this combination work?
I mean, sometimes just on a regular day, I'm wondering how is this combination working? But we're working 2 years later, so
It works.
Indeed,
Like,
But it works.
it works.
it works.
it really does.
Actually, because it's 2019, right? 2019, 2020, 2020, almost 4 years.
And in a
Yeah.
time when it shouldn't have worked, when we should
No,
have.
because everything could have just ended
Mhm.
2020.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Stacey said something about just women. We have been told that we fight against each other. We've believed a lot of things that have been said about us. We believe what kind of leaders we are. We believe what kind of people we are. We believe how we work together. And I think we didn't even remember those things that were said about how women work together. We just clicked and we just cut and go through. Just cut and go through and make it happen. And my mother always says, remember that people are bad mind. It's not like it's a woman thing.
Exactly.
Right, people.
bad mind. And
No.
the problem is that some people can't manage them bad mindedness. It take over them like one disease. But people are bad mind. And so, when it's always good when as women we can acknowledge that we are people. We are people that bring our gender, we bring our experiences, we bring everything to the table. And it's that hodgepodge of what does not need to make sense, but just makes perfect sense. Because God just said, Triano, do it. Just
Yeah.
like you're
And people
showing.
probably think that we were friends before. Naomi and I were friends before, but I mean, Rochelle and I, we knew each other, but we weren't friends.
See, we just see this fabulous Rochelle all over the place. That's all.
And it's part of purpose. And Rochelle said something just now about this whole concept of bad mind and people being consumed by it. And it's something that I talk about in my book Time Does Not Heal, about people who are struggling. Many people are struggling. Ladies, you know it. You interact with people on a daily basis. And I am not a psychologist. None of the 2 degrees I have is in psychology. But I tell you, you can see when people are struggling.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are dealing with emotional baggage that is weighing them down and impacting their ability to be and to do a lot of the things that you see coming up in the workplace and in relationships. Insecurity is at the heart of it. It's coming from fear as well. And a lot of it can be traced back to trauma,
Absolutely.
things that happen to you as a child. I mean, sometimes it may not even be a trauma, physical trauma. Maybe nobody molested you as a child, but you were taught that you were fat and ugly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And until you unlearn that, it affects your ability. It affects how you see yourself as a capable human being. So every time somebody says something to you, you immediately take offense. You know, those people that you have to walk, you have to tiptoe around them because the slightest thing they're
Yep.
upset about it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
very quick to take offense. That is
But
coming from a place of trauma.
It's trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's coming from unresolved issues that people have with themselves, and they are at war. Another thing that I also have seen, and I'm sure you've seen it too, those people who, because you have done something that they wanted to do, or you're moving in a trajectory, you're moving, you're advancing, and they're not. And it's not necessarily because they don't want you to advance. So sometimes people read that as bad mind,
Yeah.
but they are trapped in fear. They are
Yeah.
afraid of moving and doing something.
Yeah.
And you are moving through the fear, and that impacts them. They can't deal with that. I mean, how dare you move through the fear that you're feeling? Who
Yes.
gave you permission
Yeah.
to step out and decide that you could do this thing? I'm sitting over here wanting to start this talk show for how many years, and I have this great idea and I've not done anything on it. But here you come now deciding with your little self that you're going to do this thing.
Right. After you know more than me.
More than me, and then there is that kind of antipathy before you know it, because they come to the conversation with that looking through those lenses. Then you have fractious interactions and
And
all
it's just because they sat in the stand sometimes because, and we're all guilty of it, of
every
things
one of us.
we've sat on and progress that we had planned to make, and we did that business plan and we set out every step, but the fear held us back. And then you look at Instagram and there is your idea, and like it, because one, if nothing else, it show you it can be done, and somebody
Yeah.
step out. So step out, because nobody can do you the way you do you, because it's only you.
It's only you.
Definitely.
Yeah. You always say you're a powerful girl. I love you.
So before we let Stacy leave, right? We have our best advice segment. And if it's even 2 questions we're gonna ask you, we have to ask you 2 because you're full of wisdom. So the first question is, what's the best advice that you've either received or that you would like to share about owning your path?
Owning your path. Owning your path. It starts with an appreciation that, well, for me, I didn't put myself here. I am not the person who is ordering my steps. For me, there is a higher power that I defer to, and fully appreciating that I am, yes, in charge of making some decisions, but ultimately I have to look to the bigger boss to say, okay, where should I be going, and looking at purpose in that way. So once you start by acknowledging that there is a bigger purpose and there's a reason you're here, then you pursue that to find out what is it that I'm supposed to be doing. And for many people, most of it's about your talents. You know, you were born with an amazing voice. Singing must be part of your purpose, please, because God never gave you that amazing voice just to look so.
She's not talking to anybody on this show, just
Excuse
in
me,
case
Catherine?
anybody thought that Stacy was, prophesying. She's not.
Wow, Catherine. Wow.
What? No, I won't. I'm just making a broad statement.
No,
Okay.
that was not appropriate.
Go ahead, Stace.
Yes,
I just didn't want anybody to think that God was speaking through you to them about singing. That's all.
Rochelle, are you hearing her?
No, I know God is speaking to me about singing because I'm
Well,
going to.
you know when Stacey had mentioned that people are triggered by things, right? I feel like maybe Catherine is triggered by the fact that we are the singers,
Only because I love the two of you
and
that
that's
I'm speaking
why
the truth.
that's
Okay.
why she's saying these things. So it's
And
okay,
we-
Stacey. We receive everything you just said.
I
whether you were
received
speaking
it.
about
I
us or
received
not.
Thank you.
Pray for them
and,
tonight.
and we praise the Lord.
Amen. Next
So
best advice, Catherine Goodall.
Oh my Lord. No, so Stacey, you said that you're a reader. Can you tell us what your favorite book is, or a book that you'd like to recommend to our readers?
My favorite book. My favorite book.
Ooh, that was hard.
I read a book by George Carson, The Richest Man in Babylon.
Babylon.
I wouldn't say that. Oh, you have it. You have it.
Yeah, we all have it.
It's one of my favorites. I have a list of favorites. I'm finishing up Shonda Rhimes is A Year of Yes right
Yes,
now.
I have it, but I
That
haven't
book
started it yet.
changed my whole life in 2017.
Yeah.
Whole
I'm
life.
finishing it up now, and
If you use Audible, she actually narrates it on the Audible, so it's hilarious. It's really, really great listening to her as well.
nice. I'm halfway through it. I actually like, I mean, I
Reading
do
and
use
mark up.
Audible sometimes, but I like the I'm
Mhm.
passionate that way.
So Rochelle has a question that she asked, that she came up with, and I'm going to allow her to ask you.
So, Stacy, when you remember the girl in her front yard with her brother and her two younger sisters riding around in circles and not knowing much of what was on the outside of that gate, and having gone outside of that gate and experienced joys, triumphs, challenges, disappointments, now that little girl is a big woman and she realizes that she ain't an ugly girl. She's a real pretty girl with a pretty voice. When you look back at this little girl in the front yard, wondering what's on the outside, having gone to the outside, when she looks back, what award would she give herself at this place in her journey to the place that she is now? What award would she give to herself?
Wow, what a question. What award? Um, I want to say maybe not necessarily most improved, but the award would be about learning about myself,
Mhm.
you know? a celebration of how I have transformed my mind, that renewing of the mind.
Mm.
One of the things that I definitely have embraced, and I talk about it all the time, is the truth that all things work together for my good. It's
Not
it's my favorite.
always. All.
It's all things, not some, all things, even the hard places. It's something I wrote about in Time Does Not Heal, and it's my favorite scripture. It's Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to his purposes. And I shared something on my IG page on Sunday, having come from church and, sitting and, chatting with one daughter and, just sharing that you will go through rough times. You are going to have disappointments and your heart is likely to be broken. And you are going to fail at things, sometimes miserably fail, and you're going to lose people. And you will be in a hard place and you will go through the valley. But you have to know that joy will come in the morning. That joy will come in the morning. And it is how you live in gratitude, because as bad as it will be in the dark place, there's always something that you can be grateful for. And it is living with that hope and that faith that joy is coming, and anticipating that joy and being ready to embrace that joy when it comes. So the award I would give would be for learning about myself and for how much I've learned about myself and how much I've changed and continue to renew my mind. It's an ongoing process. Certainly I am learning new things every day and learning things about myself. I tell you, I'm learning things about myself now as a parent of grown children, who are totally different. I mean, the phases of motherhood have, just blown my mind. I remember when they were little and the issues that you had then compared to the issues that you have to deal with now are so different, and just really reveling in the relationships that we have. As a professional, how I've grown and the things that I've learned about myself, as a Christian, the things that I've learned about myself, and how I've been able to open my mind to really look and to see and to embrace things that I didn't before in a wholehearted way. It's just really transformative, and that is what I would celebrate most.
Amen. That's wonderful. Before Rashi, two things, Stace. Where can people find you? And you said you wrote two books. What's the other book? I
Oh,
only know one.
so the second one hasn't been published yet. It's
Okay.
an anthology of short stories.
Oh,
So it's fiction,
love
which
that.
is very good. I'm so excited about it. It's not out yet, but I'm working on it.
Okay.
Of short stories, and of course, Time Does Not Heal.
Yes.
It's in Fontana, Waterloo, and Brian's Bookstore in the Springs, and in Fairview in Montego Bay. You can
Okay,
also get it on my website,
Oh, good.
Stacy-Ann Smith.com.
okay,
And
awesome.
people who know me, you can just reach out.
Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you, Stacy.
Oh, well, Stacey, joy does come in the morning, and this tonight has been transformative for us too. Just listening to you, listening to your journey, listening to how you, in transforming your own mindset, how you are changing people's lives and your commitment to purpose. People struggle with purpose and your commitment to impacting people's lives. And I'm thinking like Miss Peggy must just look and she said, "Look, I'm a girl."
I'm a daughter.
Big daughter.
I saw she stay with you.
So Stacey, as you have shared with us, and we know that you said at your age of 45, which means there are so many more years of learning, of transforming mindset, of impact. There's so much more to come. And we look forward to being on the sidelines, but also being sometimes running out on the field and having to cheer you on and say,
Yes.
Stacey, get up, remember who your name, I am Stacy-Ann Smith.
Yes,
Don't
indeed.
So Stacy, we really pray God's blessings over you.
Amen.
Look
I
forward to the
receive it.
doors that are opening as you are impacting people's lives with your writing. And I think there was a time when you, through other people's writings, you opened up your imagination was opened up. And now through your writing, you're opening up the imaginations of a whole new generation. There's so much power in a woman who trusts in the Lord and who revels in the fact that all things, not some, not most, all things.
All
So
things.
we pray that all things to come will be to God's glory. The
Amen.
abundance you will experience, the prosperity you will experience, the growth you will experience, and that voice is an international, global voice that's going to be touching people
We
all
receive it. We receive it.
so me know say you have some little idea where you write on some little piece of paper and pull them out, Stacy. It's your time. It's your time.
That was a word for you, Stacy.
And I take it. I really do receive it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You know me, no Rochelle. You know me have my little book here. Who tell you?
Because we're just like you, Stacey, and we all have our little books right beside us. Multiple books, actually.
Yeah.
Thank you, Stace. Thank you for saying yes and for spending your Wednesday evening with us.
Thank you so much. I was so excited when Rochelle said, want to talk with us. I'm like, what? Of course. Most definitely. Thank you so
Listen,
much.
people were online from 7:30. I told you that
Yeah.
already.
Oh my gosh, but I feel so special and I'm so glad to be able to share. And I love opportunities to share and to say to especially young women, you are amazing. And as Rochelle said, every one of us is different. And because we are unique, we bring our unique selves. And there isn't any reason to say, oh, she prettier than me, or she nicer, or no, you are enough by yourself.
Yes.
Amen.
You see me still at type notes?
Keep up the good work, ladies. Keep up the good
Thank
work.
you.
You're doing
Stacey.
great. And I
Thank
just love
you.
you.
We love
Oh,
you.
we love you too. Thank you so much, Stacy-Ann. Guys, before Stacy-Ann goes and before we wrap up, just remember, look out for details on our Ready to Emerge Summit 2022, Emerging Without Limits. So if you love what Stacy-Ann had to say tonight, it'll be so much more of that in person, live on the big stage on September 18th. So you can look up for those dates, for those details, and save the date. Remember, if you joined late, you can always rewatch this episode. It's going to come up right after on our YouTube channel. So you can always share with a friend, because I know some of you are very inspired. Brim, I see you. So just share the link, share the love, like, and follow us on all of our platforms at Ready to Emerge. See you next week, Wednesday.
We have to big up one daughter, because you know when one daughter is on and one daughter is I love this. Big up mommy. That's my mommy. Yes, Deborah K. We love one daughter.
Bye, everybody. See you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.